Okay. So for those of you participants that haven't made it yet to the webinar, we're gonna give them a few seconds, and in half a minute or something like that, we'll start with the introduction. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like the numbers going up fast. Okay. I think, yeah, the numbers going up. I think we'll start, and yeah, people will join once we started. So, welcome to all of you. My name is Fernando Alvarez. I'm an account manager and also do sales for Molsy in Spain. I'm sure you guys already know Molsy because you signed up for this webinar. But in case you don't, we are the leading European leading Amazon agency. And the title for this webinar is Why Amazon Netherlands Should Be a Part of Your E-commerce Strategy. To give us insights on this topic, we have Jaap, who's spearheading Molsy in the Netherlands. And as some trivia, I'd say that he also has an Olympic medal. And we also have Charlie, who's a Chief Strategy Officer in Molsy. He used to lead the beer, wine, and spirits category in Amazon UK. And both of them are gonna talk through all this very interesting topic and some of the biggest news in the Amazon world in the last months. So the scheme will be pretty simple. Jaap will start with some slides, giving some numbers, some figures to give us context on the topic. And then Charlie will tell us what the next steps are going to be on this topic. And then we'll go for the Q&A, and all of you will have the opportunity to shoot any question you have on the topic, and both our experts will answer them. So if you don't mind, Jaap.
Yes.
Maybe, yeah.
Thank you, Fernando. Thanks a lot. So just a brief introduction from my side. Thanks for everybody joining this webinar. It's my debut as a webinar, so hopefully everything goes well. I live in Holland, in the Netherlands, in The Hague. It's like the government capital for people that don't know. I joined Molsy 4 months ago. And prior to that, I've been selling a lot of products myself on Amazon. And when Amazon decided to open the Dutch marketplace, I came in contact with Molsy, and I'm developing the footprint here in Holland. And next to that, with my experience in the consumer electronics, that's also the category that I'm doing. So not only for Netherlands, because as people all know, Amazon is a European-wide or worldwide platform. So we're trying to do that in verticals within Molsy, and in that capacity, I do the consumer electronics part. So Molsy has been. We're working on the Netherlands now for a few months, as everybody has known. They opened up in April. I have a few slides to explain why the Netherlands should be part of your strategy. Just some numbers to give you a bit of context, as Fernando said, how the online landscape currently is in the Netherlands. So I'm sharing my screen at the moment. Hopefully everybody can see it. So just some basic facts of the Netherlands. We have 17 million people, of which 69% of those people are internet users. And as everybody knows, Holland is a small country, but we're also quite dense in the internet usage. And I think it has been already from the start when internet came up. Holland was one of the front leaders in that perspective. So as you can see, we're the third largest European market for e-commerce. which with such a limited number of people is of course quite an achievement, and shows that the Dutch people are quite adapted to the online shopping. Of course, it helps that Holland is so small, so delivery, etc. It's logistically quite well organized. So the total value is in 2019 or roughly 25.8 billion euros, which equals 10.3% of the total retail industry. So those were all pre-COVID numbers, as everybody understands. After the COVID, things might have shifted massively. So some of the top online stores who were already active in the Netherlands before Amazon was entering the market, and of course in Holland, Amazon was already available through the Dutch, through the German website. So a lot of people already were quite well known with Amazon. So the top online stores: Weekamp, Bol.com, probably a lot of people know, Zalando, Coolblue, and H&M. Of which Bol.com and Weekamp are already active for over 15 years. So they're quite established platforms here in Holland, which I think is also one of the reasons that Amazon also identified Holland as a very interesting country to start up next. So some of the top online categories that we identified: travel and tickets, which obviously might not be the Amazon category, but the next one's telecommunication, consumer electronica, computer hardware and software, and clothing and shoes and media. It just gives you a bit of perspective on the different categories, how people are shopping here in the Netherlands. So these numbers are from 2019, which gives you an indication how many people already in the Netherlands. So I'm focusing on Netherlands, but I think it's a great chart anyway to have an overview on all the other European countries and even the US. But as you can see, in the Netherlands, over 45% of the people were spending their dollars on other websites than Amazon, with Amazon only being 9%, which you could also say is already quite large because we weren't available in Holland. So there were a lot of people already shopping in Germany and the UK. So it's an interesting, it would be an interesting slide to see at the end of next year how things will be changing. In the next slides, we will have some more information, and Charlie will also give us a little bit of insights on this. So what happened so far in Holland after the introduction? So as I said before, the launch on Amazon already accounted for 13% of all product searches versus 61% of the established platforms, Bol.com, Blue, Coolblue, etc. So Amazon prioritized by onboarding the best-selling agents from other Amazon countries and opening up the accounts, the seller accounts for new Amazon companies here based in Holland to grow the awareness as well. And they've been quite actively sourcing new vendors or new sellers on the platform. So recently they've launched the Amazon advertising, so to be able to ensure market analysis, keyword optimization, SEO content. But at the moment that is not yet available. So as soon as that will kick in, you will see, we will believe there will be a massive growth also in insights that we can provide to our customers. At the moment, it's for most of the customers that we're working, it's onboarding on the Dutch platform, which means, as says, keyword optimization, SEO content translation is being done. So Charlie, maybe it's good that you explain a little bit further on this Amazon strategy and what you feel is coming next for Amazon in the Netherlands with your experience.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess we'll talk a little bit about this slide here. So this was some ClickUp share that we saw posted by Tweakers earlier this week, and just perfect timing for us in this conversation, just to show the difference between that share from April, May and June, and just seeing how Amazon just goes from not really being there in April in that top 15 to jumping right up to the top straight away. So really interesting insights just in terms of the sort of an idea of the traffic that they're generating at the moment, what that's looking like. In terms of next steps, the great thing with Amazon is they tell us all the time how they're going to do things. And the simple version of that is their flywheel. So their whole focus right now is on, well, up to launch was getting selection in place, as you touched on the app. It's about making sure the sellers are there, that they've got the right ASINs, the right products on sites, that customers, when they come, will find the right stuff that they're looking for and have a reason to come back in the future. So they'll put the selection there, they'll get a good customer experience in place. And I think today they'll probably put their hands up and say customer experience isn't where it needs to be compared to their other countries. So all the more established marketplaces that they've got, they will say there's work to be done, but they're already rapidly moving down that path. So they'll be focusing on customer convenience, customer experience. They'll be trying to tap into Prime membership more aggressively, linking that obviously across the various different benefits that Prime brings. And then they'll be really driving hard on the traffic. You mentioned a second ago about the various tools that they've got. Advertising just starting to get in place, but very limited in terms of the tools that are available for NL at the moment. We all know the tools and metrics that are available on the other marketplace sites that they have. That won't be far away. So it's going to be then all about improving the seller experience to bring, again, more selection and enable themselves to be much more competitive and rapidly scale up what they're offering compared to those in-market competitors. It sounds simple. It's going to be quite complicated for them. They'll then be thinking a bit more about warehousing. Should they set up a warehouse in country? Can they use the warehouses surrounding them in the countries that are already set up, particularly Germany, where it's a neighbour? How do they manage their costs as effectively as possible? How do they make sure pricing is sharp? And I think that's particularly challenging for them right now, because actually they're only working on a 3p basis. They're not using any 1p selling, so they don't control pricing. So there's one there for them to overcome, I think, on how they're managing that for customers and making sure that the platform is as competitive as it should be.
So very interesting points here by Charlie. I don't know if you want to follow up with the presentation, Jeb?
Yeah, sure. So thanks, Fernando. Thanks, Charlie. So yeah, so as we know, also what we've seen from the people enlisting on the webinar, there are some brands that we already work for that want to know how to expand into Holland, but also some new brands that want to launch in Holland and then use this to expand into Europe. And although bol.com has been quite big here, so people will know what an online platform can do for your brand, and especially the difference between Bol and Amazon is the European expansion. From when people get to know how to sell on Amazon, the step towards upselling it to Germany, France, Spain, UK is going to be much easier. And I think also for the brands that are now active in Holland, they will see a lot of European brands entering the market here in Holland as well. As Charlie says, I think that there will be a massive price-driven competition coming our way, which will be an interesting thing to see when this actually kicks in. So this is always one question, Charlie, that people ask me, and you as well. So how to become successful selling on Amazon, and we all know, but this is probably something you can elaborate to.
Yeah, I think my new answer for this is that it's always, what's the one thing I should do? My answer is everything. I think that's the one thing you should do, because there is, for those people who are more experienced with using Amazon, there is no one thing. There are so many things that you need to be working on continually to get right, and you can't just do one thing and then it's done and move on. You have to revisit it and continue to iterate on it and make sure that it remains competitive and remains as successful as possible. So this slide's great in showing those different skill sets that you need, the different things that need to be considered, and the different ways of approaching it. So making sure you've got these skill sets within your delivery of whatever you're doing with Amazon is going to be critical to being successful.
Okay, that was the end of my presentation. I think we already had quite some questions aligned, so we took specifically a small background presentation. So Fernando, I think you already have some questions coming in, right?
Yeah, we've been receiving questions before the days, upcoming days before the webinar, but we're already receiving questions from the participants. I just wanted to tell everybody that they can freely send any question they have. We'll try to answer them all, but I don't know if we'll be able to answer them all. I mean, we don't want to keep you here for a long time. So I think we'll start with the ones that we already had. And the first one, I think it would be interesting for you, Jaap. Does Amazon accept requests for new vendor accounts in the Netherlands? This question is by Arvind Gurmuti from Creative Distribution Ltd.
No, as Charlie also mentioned, at the moment it's only seller central accounts that have been opened, and I think there have been invites from across other countries to onboard the items. But at the moment, they're not opening new vendor accounts or vendor accounts in the Netherlands. But this is definitely something they will start doing. I mean, Charlie, please correct me if I'm wrong. As they are not able to really work on the price with a seller central account, of course.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they didn't. I think it's a question of when and when are they ready to do that. I don't know whether that will play into whether they have a warehouse in country or not. I think we were looking at what their current plans are for warehousing. We couldn't see anything within the borders, but I think, Jaap, you saw that there was potentially something right on the border with Germany that looks like it would likely be their access point in.
Yeah, so they recently they built a warehouse in München-Gladbach, which is very close to the Venlo border of Holland, where it's basically sort of the logistical hub for Holland. So in terms of 24-hour delivery, etc., Holland is already very, very well organized in this matter. So I think they will just tap into that infrastructure. So perhaps, as you say, Charlie, once they're ready for vendor accounts and they see that the market is growing here in Holland as well, they might consider this as one of the new. But I think they're just looking at, okay, what is the most effective way to do it cross border.
Okay, I'll pose you the next question. And Anna, I see that your question was sent before. And I'm very happy to read it because it's, I think I like the answer very much. I think, Charlie, this one's for you. What's the best way to upload our catalog of items to a Dutch market, and who translates the content?
So I guess, importantly, as you just said, at this stage, you'll need to be a seller. So you wouldn't be able to do that from the vendor side of things. So first thing you'll need to do is make sure you've got a seller account to start getting things rolling in the Netherlands. In terms of getting the catalog there, they have the standard new item setup process there. The more complicated bit is the translation, or more importantly, transcreation. So not just doing a Google Translate, but doing a proper job of making sure it's local language, native speaking, making sure that when a Dutch customer jumps in it, they don't become suspicious of the content because it doesn't seem to read correctly. So obviously we have people in-house who can carry out that task, and we have local language specialists working on that, and that's definitely the right approach to take, making sure that you are considering things from a local language point of view, both for customer experience, but also on the back end, the SEO types of things, and making sure that people will discover your pages and the right kind of customers when they're looking for it.
Exactly.
And tapping into that, Fernando, I think what we see with our current customers onboarding in the Netherlands it's quite good to do it quickly. You're now one of the first to be there, so the organic growth, so etc. is becoming more relevant. So so we're having quite some customers onboarding in the Netherlands at the moment.
There's a question by Sigurd Mikkelsen. I hope I pronounced it correctly, from NIU. The question would be, what two-wheel brand has deployed a successful Amazon strategy in the Netherlands? I don't know, Charlie, maybe it's a question for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's early days. There are obviously two-wheel brands who are operating on their Amazon now at the moment, but it's open season right now. So I wouldn't say anyone's had time to really deploy a successful long-term strategy. They maybe picked up some early wins. I think it's more about looking at every category, saying it's all an opportunity, and starting to carve out your version of that opportunity and running with it as quickly as possible. And that can be in the two-wheel category, that can be in any category that is currently up and running for Amazon.nl. So I think there's everything to play for is simply the answer. And if you're looking more at the kind of strategies to work on, then the established marketplaces where I'd be pointing you to suggest looking at how that's working, what has worked, what hasn't worked in other Amazon locales that you can learn from on that front. Yap, anything to add?
No, I think you're right. I think it's now making sure you have the right strategy. We had some difficulties, and I think we're not the only one with uploading some of the products in the Netherlands. But I think this is just the beginning for that happens with every Amazon country that's being launched. We all know there is a massive amount of people supporting from Amazon, making sure that they will have it right, whether it's next month or the month after. But it's good to jump on the bandwagon now and to make sure that everything is correct, right categories, right content, etc.
Okay, so this question is by Eric Newmans from SBD, and the question would be: deliveries to the Netherlands are currently coming from the distribution center in Germany. Is Amazon planning to build a distribution center in Netherlands? Very interesting question on the operational side.
Yeah, so as we briefly already touched, I think at the moment I don't see the plans, and I've not heard about plans getting the warehouse. But when the business grows, I'm sure that they will start considering it. If they have many more deliveries to do, and it makes sense to reach the north of Holland, they might consider it. But we haven't heard anything about that. For now, it's just focusing on the warehouse in Mönchengladbach.
Okay, thank you. So another question for Charlie here, I think, is by Jean-Paul Rieu from Purina. The success of Prime in the Netherlands will be key to Amazon's success. How can you be part of this as a brand?
So I guess there's the two ways to think about that. So Prime is obviously the customer focused or customer facing program that Amazon are making available, and it goes beyond just selling products on the marketplace. So Amazon are using that as their hook to get as many customers shopping Amazon.nl as they can. Making sure you're part of that, from a seller point of view, it's using FBA or 3P, but getting on board with the programs that enable your product to ship via Prime. So when you're on FBA, by default, you should be able to have Prime shipments to customers. So make sure that you're in stock, make sure that you're reliable with your deliveries, make sure that your products comply with all the requirements, so that when customers land on your product page, yours is the offer they see and it's available immediately. If customers are waiting, then that's a pretty poor experience. It's not what they expect generally from Amazon, and from what I understand from Yap, it's not what they expect generally from e-commerce in the Netherlands. No. So it's got to be there. It's got to be ready to go. I think that's kind of the basics of Amazon, but it's also something that is forgotten quite frequently. the last 3 months obviously is very, 4 months now, I guess, is very different because out of stock was a major problem for a lot of people during COVID, but that's an unexpected event. It's something that people weren't necessarily planning for. I think in usual run-of-the-mill business, it's about making sure you've got that good availability. Beyond FBA, then when you're looking at, if you're just going down the 3P route, use their programs, again, like Seller Fulfilled Prime. So you're still offering Prime messaging, you're still offering next day delivery, even if you're not using Amazon's network to make that happen. So think about and learn about all the different routes to market that you can use that allow you to leverage and optimize off the back of that.
I don't know, you want to add something, Jab?
No, I think Charlie is definitely right about the customer experience. I mean, that's definitely something that I think is very important, because we have to competitors with Bol and with Coolblue, who focus mainly on customer experience. So, and I know in other countries this is a given for using Amazon, and people have no doubts about that. So they will have that right. But at the moment, that is definitely something that I think a Dutch consumer will look at. Although price is, of course, a very important issue. But so.
Okay, I wanted to tell Marcus and Michael and Aravin that we took notes of your questions. But I also wanted to ask you, Jab, I mean, everything is new. The marketplace in the Netherlands is new. And of course, you've been there since the beginning. Talking to possible clients, and what's your take on what the clients, the companies are on their interest in Amazon in the Netherlands? So,
well, of course they see it as an extra. So whether they are new or already existing customers. So it's interesting to see that for a lot of people who already were selling on Amazon in other countries, it suddenly and they're Dutch based, it suddenly changes a little bit, because now Amazon is in their home market, and so they're starting to think in a different way. Whilst before they really looked at it as a growth opportunity in other countries. So that's been an interesting area to touch. Yeah, and everybody's of course excited to see what's happening. And although they think it's Amazon, that's the thing. You think, oh, Amazon is coming, and in 2 or 3 months we will see the big giant taking over. But that's of course not the fact, as Charlie already mentioned. You need to start really doing your thing thoroughly, making sure that everything is right. It's not just from 1 month to another. Yeah, maybe you can get some quick wins. But it's really making sure you're on the right path, and then we'll all see sure that Amazon will grow quite rapidly. Okay, so we'll go to Marcus's question. How large can we expect Amazon NL to grow in relation to the current EU5 markets? Pretty interesting question.
Do you want to say that, yeah? But do you want me to have a go?
No, okay. Yeah, we'll go through it. It's fine. Let's see where we're at.
So I mean, if you're purely looking at population, you would say it's going to be one of the smaller markets. I would imagine Amazon are going to be trying to roll in Belgian customers within the .nl experience, just to capture a bigger population. But if you're looking purely at population numbers, then you would say it's still going to be quite small. I think the interesting piece, though, is the size of the Dutch e-commerce market already compared to the rest of Europe, and those other countries that maybe aren't as likely, where the customers aren't so keen to go straight to e-commerce. The adoption rate isn't so high. For that reason, I'll put a stake in the ground and see where that moves it to. I'm going to say that probably in the next 5 years, and that's going to be a bit of a push, but in the next 5 years, you should expect them to be pushing on for roughly the same size as the Spanish market.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jeb.
No, yeah, I would compare it a bit with the German market to see, and then look at the population. So let's say we are roughly 20% of the German market, and although Amazon in Germany entered, and there weren't really any competition at that time, so they have a big market share. But I think we could definitely in Holland grow between 15 and 20% of what the German market is doing. And also in Italy and Spain, I've just seen some figures. I couldn't add it into the presentation. It was quite interesting to see that mainly due to the COVID, the online shopping has been adapted quite quickly there. So I think in those countries and we're already seeing that ourselves. You really are looking at some massive growth there as well.
Yeah, well, it's striking to see what Charlie was answering was very much linked to the question Michael had sent before, and he was asking, what are your expectations regarding Amazon market shares in Belgium and the Netherlands over the next 5 years? So I would leave that as answered, Michael. And so the other question you sent is price going to be the main strategy Amazon NL will be using against Bol and Coolblue, seeing as the Amazon customer experience is not on the same level yet?
Well, for me, so price will be part of it, but it's not the part. It's not the thing. It's not the only element. So if you all you have to do is look at the flywheel and think about how they're going to approach things. So excellent customer experience. Price plays a part of that, but so does the fast delivery. So does the customer service that's delivered as part of all of that. So do all the other benefits of Prime. So they'll be focusing very much on that to begin with. And the next thing will be capturing that traffic, making sure no stone is left unturned, making sure that they have all the tools available to make sure sellers and vendors, when it happens, can be as successful as they possibly can be. And spin that flywheel, attract more sellers, attract more selection, attract more customers. And that's going to be the way that they're working on it. Will they be able to grab the same volume as sellers and therefore selection as they have done over previous years in other markets? I think that will that's something I'd like to see develop in terms of how to answer that question, because my perspective is, as Amazon have grown, it's become much harder for them to handhold their vendors and their selling partners, whereas the likes of bol.com are perhaps more able to do that and provide that better seller service. So that will be an interesting part of the whole puzzle of how it progresses.
You want to add something, Jeb?
No, well, I just would like to add also that there, of course, people are asking us with the comparison between Bol and Coolblue, etc. And I think once the advertising tools kick in with Amazon, also sellers, they will start to understand, and also the sellers that already are doing it in the UK and in Germany, they will know how to really push their products into the market. So I think that the tools that Amazon offer will be a great benefit for people who are already selling. And for the new people, they will see that compared to other platforms, they might have more opportunities or more chances or more tools to work the market and get the consumer in the buy box for their products.
Yeah, well, Aravin's question is related to what you guys were saying right now. He says, we've been 1P vendor for quite a few years and now want to jump on the seller side too. I'm guessing price issues maybe. What capabilities are required on our operations side so we are successful from start?
Yeah, do you want to have a start with that one?
Yeah, it's the most important thing is of course, I think what you're right, Fernando, is that there's probably a pricing issue, and the seller account, of course, gives you better control over your pricing. What you have to then also imagine is, okay, are you using the FBA service? I think it's quite easy to step into that service. So my personal experience, and I think something we're doing with quite a lot of brands we're working, is we work on a hybrid model where we do have a vendor account and we also have a seller account, and it's not that difficult to set it up, at least in my experience.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I read the question, Aravin's question. So we have another question by Emily Merrick. As a UK-based company, would you need to be registered to pay VAT in the Netherlands? I'm don't know if you guys will have an answer for this.
You will need to. You'll definitely. I'm not sure you need the registration, but you will definitely need to be able to pay. I would imagine, therefore, you will need the registration, but you'll definitely need that ability to pay VAT. So, as a seller, that is your responsibility. So, you're going to need to make sure you're in a position to be able to do that. Yeah. We can support with that. That's the kind of thing that we can work alongside with you on, and make sure that you're ticking all the right boxes to make sure you're doing things the right way.
Okay, I was thinking that we would be doing half an hour. It's taking a little bit longer, but still, I'd like to ask you guys if there's any topic you would like to add, something that you consider interesting for our audience interested in the Amazon Netherlands topic, some insight that you think it's interesting to share.
For me, I think we covered most of the topics that I think we should cover. Of course, there's always a lot of extra that we can discuss. I don't have anything that I think this is the holy grail that I'm now sharing with all the people.
Okay. So thank you very much, Chad and Charlie. It's been a pleasure to listen to you guys. I mean, it's always good to hear to people who really know about the one subject. And it's been super good to see also the great participation in the seminar, the webinar, sorry. Those webinars that we are doing are taking a lot of interest, it seems. So we'll be back with another one soon. And thank you so much to all the participants. And yeah, see you in the next webinar.
Thank you, Fernando. You also for doing the moderation.
Thank you, guys.
Keep it going, Fernando.
Bye, Charlie and Jap.
Bye.
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 Thanks.